As the battle above the God's Eye was taking place, back in King's Landing, Queen Rhaenyra was finding herself ever more isolated with every new betrayal. The suspected turncloak Adam Velaryon had fled before he could be put to question. His flight had proven his guilt, the White Worm murmured. Lord Khadgar concurred and proposed a punishing new tax on any child born out of wedlock. Such a tax would only replenish the crown's coffers, but also rid the realm of thousands of bastards. The Queen had more pressing concerns than her treasury, however. By ordering the arrest of Adam Velaryon, she had lost not only a dragon and a dragon rider, but her Queen's hand, and more than half of the army that had sailed from Dragonstone to seize the Iron Throne was made up of sworn swords to the House of Velaryon. When it became known that Lord Corlys languished in the dungeons under the Red Keep, they began to abandon her cause by the hundreds. Some made their way to the cobbled square to join the throngs gathering around the shepherd, whilst others slipped through the postern gate or over the walls, intent on making their way back to Driftmark. Nor could those who remained be trusted. That was proven when two of the Sea Snake's sworn swords, Sir Denny Woodwright and Sir Thorin True, cut their way to the dungeons to free their lord. Their plans were betrayed to Lady Misery by a whore Sir Thorin had been bedding, and the would-be rescuers were taken and hanged. The two knights died at dawn, kicking and withering against the walls of the Red Keep as the nooses tightened around their neck. That very day, not long after sunset, another horror visited the Queen's court. Helaena Targaryen, sister, wife, and queen to King Aegon II, and mother of his children, threw herself from her window in Maegor's Holdfast, to die, impaled upon the iron spikes that lined the dry moat below. She was only 21 years of age. After half a year of captivity, why should Aegon's queen choose that night to end her life? Mushroom asserts that Helaena was with child after her days and nights of being sold for a common whore, but this explanation is only as credible as the tale of the brothel queens, which is to say, not credible at all. Grand Maester Munking believes the horror of seeing Sir Thorin and Sir Dennis die drove her to the act, but if the young queen knew the two men, it could only have been as jailers, as there is no evidence she ever was witness to their hangings. Septon Eustace, meanwhile, suggests that Lady Misery, the White Worm, chose this night to tell Helaena of the death of her son Maelor, and the grisly manner of his passing, though what motive she would have had for doing this, beyond simple malice, is hard to fathom. Maces may argue about the truth of such assertions, but on that fateful night a darker tale was being told in the streets and alleys of King's Landing, in inns and brothels, and pot shops, even holy septs. Queen Helaena had been murdered, the whispers went, as her sons had been before her. Prince Daeron and his dragon would soon be at the gates, and with them the end of Rhaenyra's reign. The old queen was determined that her younger half-sister should not live to revel in her downfall, so she sent Sir Luther Largent to seize Helaena with his huge rough hands and fling her from the window onto the spikes below. Where this rumour came from is not known. Grand Maester Munkin places it at the door of the shepherd, where thousands heard the cry both crime and queen. But did he originate the lie, or was it merely given echo to the words he had heard from others' lips? The latter, Mushroom would have us believe. A slander so vile could only have been the work of Larys Strong, for the clubfoot had never left King's Landing, as soon would be revealed, but only slipped into the shadows, from whence he continued to plot and whisper. Could Helena's death been murder? Possibly, but it seems unlikely. Queen Rhaenyra was behind it. Helaena Targaryen was a broken creature who posed no threat to her, nor did any source speak enmity between them. If Rhaenyra was intent on murder, surely it would have been the Dowager Queen Alicent flung onto the spikes, as the hatred between the two was well known. Moreover, at the time of Queen Helena's death, we have an abundant proof that Sir Luther Largent, the purported killer in the tale, was eating with 300 of his gold cloaks at the barracks of the Gate of the Gods, miles away from the Red Keep, with more than enough witnesses to give him a solid alibi. All the same, the rumours of Queen Helena's murder were soon on the lips of half of King's Landing. That it was so quickly believed shows how utterly the city had turned against their once beloved queen. Rhaenyra was hated, and Helaena had been loved. Nor had the common folk of the city forgotten the cruel murder of Prince Jaehaerys by blood and cheese, and the terrible death of Prince Maelor at Bitterbridge. Helena's end had been mercifully swift. One of the spikes took her through the throat, and she died without a sound. At the moment of her death, across the city, atop the hill of Rhaenys, her dragon Dreamfire rose suddenly with a roar that shook the dragon pit, snapping two of the chains that bound her. When Dowager Queen Alicent was informed of her daughter's passing, she rent her garments and pronounced a dire curse upon Rhaenyra. That night, King's Landing rose into bloody riot. The rioting began amidst the alleyways of Fleabottom, as men and women poured from the wine sinks, rat pits, and pot shops by the hundred, angry, drunken, and afraid. From there, the rioters spread through the city, shouting for justice for their princes and their murdered mother. Carts and wagons were overturned, shops looted, homes plundered and set afire. Gold cloaks attempting to quell the disturbances were set upon and beaten bloody. No one was spared, of high birth or low. Lords were pelted with rubbish. Knights pulled from their saddles. Lady Darla Deddings saw her brother Davos stabbed through the eye when he tried to defend her from drunken ostlers intent on assaulting them. Sailors, unable to return to their ships, attacked the river gate and fought a pitched battle with the city watch. It took Sir Luther Largent and 400 men to disperse them. By then the gate had been hacked half to pieces and hundreds of men were dead or dying, a quarter of them gold cloaks. No such rescuers came for Lord Bartimaeus Celtigar, Rhaenyra's much hated master of coin, whose walled manse was defended only by 6 guardsmen and a few hastily armoured servants. When rioters came swarming over the walls, these dubious defenders threw down their weapons and ran, or joined the attackers. Arthur Celtigar, a boy of 15, made a brave stand in the doorway, sword in hand, and kept the howling mob at bay for a few moments, until a treacherous serving girl let the rioters in through the back way. The brave boy was slain by a spear thrust through the back. Lord Bartimaeus himself fought his way to the stables, only to find all his horses dead or stolen. Taken, the Queen's despised master of coin was bound to a post and tortured until we revealed where all his wealth was hidden. The tanner, then a tanner called Wat, announced his lordship had failed to pay his manhood tax and must yield his own manhood to the crown as forfeit. But this night of rioting was only a taste of the bloodshed yet to come in King's Landing, as Rhaenyra's rule began to crumble.